Be with everyone. Today, I wanted to do practice around mindfulness of the body. And I think it's easy. Sometimes we use the term mindfulness so much and think about the mind. It gives this kind of mistaken understanding that it's all about the mind and just what we think. Um, but we're working with much more than just thinking, because mindfulness also helps us to pay attention to our emotional state and actually the experience of having emotions, as well as helps us become aware of physical sensations in the body. So it's helpful to keep in mind that mindfulness is an embodied practice. We sometimes say it's embodied. It's not just sort of a head trip that we're doing, you know. Well, for some of us, paying attention to the body can be challenging, especially when we're experiencing pain or noticing, changing aspects of the body, the aging body, or when you have something going on, you're not quite sure, and it can lead to certain anxiety. Um, and sometimes that can get more pronounced for us depending on our situation, if we're carrying a diagnosis or we're aware of our aging. So mindfulness offers us a different way to relate to our body instead of ignoring or just resisting the changes or the challenges. We can approach the body like we do with thoughts and with emotions. We can approach the body with kindness and understanding, what we broadly call non-judgment. So we can practice noticing without reacting. And questions like, what is it like to be in this body right now, just as it is? And again, it's always good caution to remind ourselves that we're not analyzing when we pay attention, and we're not evaluating. It's just about noticing and being fully present, or as present as we can be. I always like to remind us of some of the research around the practice, and it's just maybe a good encouragement for us that this is not just a kind of nice, touchy feeling kind of practice to do, but it's really quite robust and powerful. Um, One study I mentioned is that adults who engage in mindfulness experience lower levels of depression and anxiety. It has a direct impact on that. And as a result, also experience higher levels of emotional resilience. Even when there are challenges or the emotions are going, we can kind of find our way back. Um, Not too long ago, well, about 2016, there was a study in JAMA for the internal medicine that adults participating in MBSR course, Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction, the courses that we teach at the center here, they reported significant reductions in chronic pain and improved physical functioning. I mentioned aging before. Sometimes that's a particular kind of challenge as we notice our bodies changing through aging and other things too. And we just at the center here started just a couple of months ago. We're now teaching a mindfulness-based stress reduction program in a assisted living a center that's nearby in town here. Once a month, the residents of that assisted living facility are coming together to practice mindfulness. So here's a couple of, I'm actually going to be with them this afternoon. So I have some studies specific to aging population too. Um, One publication, Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience, found that mindfulness may help preserve attention, memory, and executive function in older adults. In the Journal of Gerontology, they found that mindfulness training increased interoceptive awareness. We've talked about that term, interoceptive awareness. That's our ability to accurately perceive our own bodily sensations, knowing when we're hungry, knowing when we need to stretch, uh, or any kind of feedback that we're getting from our bodies. So that increases with mindfulness practice, that we can become more aware and more accurate in our awareness or assessment. And that for the aging population can also help with emotional regulation, that you can perceive things as they really are, have a sense of really understanding. So that reduces fear, and especially fear in older adults with kind of balance and falling and all that. So we can become more steady. So with that, let's do a mindful awareness of the body. Um, we've done this before. I think one of our other teachers from the Mindfulness Center, Anita Hall, did a body scan. That's not always a great term for this. Body scan has a negative connotations for some of us, but in some traditions we call this body sweeping, but it's just a systematic way of kind of moving through the body with awareness and attention, and making sure that that awareness is a non-judgmental awareness. So let's begin by just arranging ourselves. And you can take a lying down posture. This is the traditional posture for a body sweeping or a body scan, is lying down, but you don't need to do it lying down. If you're in a place where you can, you might experiment with that. You can remain seated, or you could even do it standing. Um, and some people, I've been told by some people that they'll do a quick body scan, when they're waiting for the train, just standing on the platform. So it's just a way of tuning into our own bodies as they actually are in this moment. So arrange yourself now, whatever posture you choose to take for the next several minutes. Seated, standing, lying down. And come to a relative stillness, allowing the eyes to gently close or just lower the gaze down so that there's a kind of softening of the eyes if you want to keep the eyes open. And this helps with having a kind of an inward glance, turning our attention inward and noticing the breath in this moment. And experiencing directly the gentle expanding of the belly with each in breath, and the gentle receding of the belly with each out breath. And if you're struggling with the breath and paying attention to it, maybe increases that struggle, just see if you can let go of the struggle part and just notice the breath as it is. If it's not very deep breath or a fluid breath, then just notice that. And the breath is moving in and out on its own without us needing to manipulate it. And even if you're short of breath or you're congested, there's still breath moving in and out. And that's enough. It's enough to simply experience the breath as it is. And when you're in touch with the flow of your breath, meaning you can feel movement associated with your breathing in the abdomen or the chest, or even at the point of the nostrils, then just allow your attention to remain with that sensation of breathing for just a few moments. Now, in the next out breath, directing your attention away from the belly or from the chest and bringing your attention all the way down to your feet. Still breathing and aware of the breath moving in and out, but now directing that attention like you might shine a spotlight on an area, and shining that light on the feet, holding both feet at the same time in your awareness, moment by moment. And noticing even that shift to directing your attention to the feet, that you can do so effortlessly without struggle, without pushing. And just tuning in now to whatever sensations are here to be felt in the feet. There may be sensations about contact points where the feet are touching the ground, or maybe the feet are touching the body if you're cross-legged. And maybe you feel other sensations about tightness or perspiration or coolness, whatever's presenting, just noticing it. And if there's not any real pronounced sensation that's presenting, then just notice that lack of sensation, kind of a neutral feeling. And every region that we're visiting, attending to during this practice, see that as a kind of, each time we move to another area, see that as a kind of putting out the welcome mat for whatever's presenting. And not judging, just noticing. And judging, you might broadly understand as liking or disliking, preferring, resisting. And if I'm mentioning a region of the body or a particular body part, and that body part is missing or has been added to, then just notice that, what it's like to be without that body part or to have something added to that body part. Again, not analyzing that or reviewing it or remembering the particulars about that, but just noticing the experience of having a body part altered or missing. And now, as you exhale, moving the attention up into the legs, expanding your awareness now from the feet into the legs, and using the out breath to assist that movement of your attention to the legs. And perhaps from the ankles up, becoming aware of the sensations in the calves, the knees, and just noticing whatever sensations are here to be noticed. Tightness, gripping, softness. And noticing the knees, the kneecap that's covering that knee joint between the lower portion and the upper portion of the legs. And noticing the thighs above the knees and maybe the contact points here in this part of the legs, contact with the chair or the floor. And following the outside and the inside lines of the legs all the way up as they move up into the groin and the hip. Experiencing your own legs and any sensations or lack of sensations moment by moment. And when you notice the mind being distracted, wandering off, or the mind judging that which you're noticing, just do your best to release the judging. and come back to simply being present to the sensations without needing to add any commentary, good, bad. And as you exhale now, moving your attention into the pelvic region and holding the entirety of the pelvic basin in your awareness. And whatever sensations are here, including the touch points where the pelvis is in contact with the surface you are lying or sitting on, noticing pressure points, and just breathing along with all sensations moment by moment. Allowing your own body to become a source of awareness for you. And seeing this body just as it is, with its ups and downs, with its challenges, seeing it as a vessel that holds wisdom and understanding and presence. And paying attention in this way can bring a sense of groundedness, calmness, and a sense of connection, even. In the pelvic region, you might notice movement also as the abdomen expands and contracts with the breath. And if you notice discomfort or pain, then see if you can meet that with just pure awareness without having to work it out right now. Next, continue on to include in your awareness the upper back and the rib cage and shoulder blades and the shoulders themselves. Notice the sensations in the front of the chest, becoming aware of the lungs as they fill with air and release. And seeing if it's possible, it is possible to tune in, to become so aware that you might even feel and notice the beating of your own heart in this moment, in whatever state it's in. And in a sense, listen in to the beating of your own heart. And now moving into the head and face, holding this entire region in full awareness and with a willingness to experience whatever is here because it's already here. Tension, tightness, softness, relaxation, anxiety, whatever shows up in the body, just see if you can meet it, notice it in a non reactive way. And now let's just sit for a few moments with an awareness of the entire body and noticing the body as a unified whole as you're sitting here, lying here, standing here, breathing. And as best you can, being in touch with any and all sensations, whatever they may be, pleasant, unpleasant, neither pleasant nor unpleasant, just neutral. And even reclaiming as best you can the full spectrum of your own embodied experience in this very moment. And how awareness can embrace the entirety of the body, from the bottom of the feet up through the legs into the pelvis and torso, including the head. And simply being here in the stillness of this very moment. Seeing yourself as you really are, not how you used to be or will be one day. And in that sense, accepting yourself and your body as it is, not in a passive way, but in a very active, attentive way. Here's a poem by Derek Walcott entitled Love After Love. The time will come when with elation you will greet yourself arriving at your own door, in your own mirror, and each will smile at the other's welcome and say, sit, eat. You will love again the stranger who was yourself. Give wine, give bread, give back your heart to itself, to the stranger who has loved you all your life, whom you ignored for another, who knows you by heart. Take down the love letters from the bookshelf, the photographs, the desperate notes. Peel your own image from the mirror. Sit, feast on your life. And maybe making a few micro movements and opening your eyes or raising your glance up. Thank you all for being here. You know, we were introducing different practices in the hope that you'll have a kind of a selection to choose from. Sometimes we get caught in just sitting, and that's fine if that's your go-to practice, you know. But it's nice to remember that it's not just about the mind and engaging the body more fully in the practice by specifically doing this kind of body scan or body sweeping. Um, a little commercial before we leave, unless there's a short comment or a question or anything that you want to put in the chat or say. All right, I'll do a commercial then. So we have a couple of 8-week courses coming up in the fall. One is virtual that starts on September 30th, Tuesdays, 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I mentioned this last week. I'll be co-teaching with Ty Azilio, who's has been one of our teachers here for a few weeks. In July, she taught in our Mindfulness for the Moment. Some of you remember her. The other 8-week course is an in-person one here in Georgia, in Smyrna, Georgia, that another one of our teachers is doing, Rachel Abraham, and that's a Sunday afternoon course that starts on September 21st. So you can find that on the website. We also have a retreat coming up in September, a weekend retreat. That's residential. You're welcome to come join us. I think there's a little room left there, September 12th through 14th. And then I'm doing a course. It's kind of a workshop for mindfulness teachers or other mind-body teachers who want to incorporate the natural world in their teaching, nature into their teaching a little bit more. We're calling it eco-awareness training. That's on the website too. That's online, starting in the beginning of October. So lots coming up for the fall, and we will be meeting here for Mindfulness for the Moment every Wednesday, noon to 12:30 Eastern Time. It's a great delight to be with you and to share this practice together. And we look forward to seeing you again next time or whenever you can be back. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
You be well.